Big Cat Safari. When it comes to hunting big fish of any species, nighttime is the great equalizer. Of course, there is less fishing pressure, a huge boon to trophy hunters, but a motivation equally compelling to top-of-the-line predators prowling covertly under the cover of darkness. And of all these denizens of the dark, the flathead catfish, by its very nature, rules the shadowy underworld. As dusk descends, we join Catfish Insider editor Steve Hoffman and In-Fisherman television director Jim Lindner as they, too, go on the prowl.
Well, this is a pretty good fish.
Is it? Is it an edible one?
I think we can probably grab this guy. Mid to high teens.
Good starter fish.
Yes, it is.
Ooh, pretty fish. You're one of those yellow ones.
Let's get you over here, buddy. There we go.
There's your pliers.
Beauty. Slide that hook right out of there. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Hoffman, fishing here with Jim Lindner today, and we're just sort of scouting around in the scour hole below the dam, looking for a place where we're going to set out the anchor and hopefully still fish these fish a little more thoroughly after dark, and hopefully contact some bigger specimens of this species. We'll get this guy back in the water. There he goes.
Flatheads are by nature nocturnal. These giants of North American cat fishery are first and foremost predators, as opposed to the channel and blue catfish, which scavenge for their food and occasionally eat live prey. Darkness is critical to the flathead catfish. During these hours, it is able to most efficiently locate and capture the amount of food necessary to sustain its formidable body mass. This element of the flathead's nature also dictates its location. Bright daylight usually finds it resting in holes and snags adjacent to feeding areas. At night, it leaves the comfort of its lair and goes on the prowl. Using its keen senses of smell and feel, the flathead cat will scour the immediate neighborhood for any likely food source, preferring by far the nutrients contained in live prey. The flathead's huge maw is designed to accommodate food up to 1/3 of its own body weight, so the bigger, the better when it comes to bait selection. The key to locating big flathead catfish is to determine their daytime resting areas and place your bait somewhere in the vicinity. On small rivers, this would be at the head of the deepest hole in the river section or on a flat nearby. Big rivers will find cats resting behind obstructions, such as wing dams, or at the bottom of the washout hole behind a major dam. Large wood snags will also hold big flatheads. Leave the bait at their doorstep, and you're gonna get bit in a hurry.
I don't know what size he is, Steve. Ooh, well,
Does he feel like a pretty good one?
No, I think we got his attention now. That's a better sized fish. Let's see. Ooh. Let's see. Ooh. He's just digging. He doesn't feel like a real big one. Where are we gonna land this guy? He's going around this way here. Okay.
Does he pretty much know he's hooked at this point?
I suspect he's got some problems. There he is. Oh, you know what it is?
Big channel cat.
Big channel, yeah. Whoa! Sort of a bonus boy.
Whoa! Flip.
Look at that. Beautiful fish, huh?
Absolutely.
There we go. I'm gonna need that pliers, Steve. Ooh. Oh, come on, buddy. There, I got her.
Okay.
There we go. Beautiful fish. Ooh. Another big minnow.
Well, I think it's time to move. We've been here for about 30 minutes without a bite, and we're not going to move far. We're going to move over about 20 yards and just reposition within this same hole and set up and see if we can catch some active fish.
What's sort of interesting is how we're positioning in the current. We're actually anchoring with 2 anchors, and we're putting the anchors out upstream, and then we hold the boat actually perpendicular to the current. In that way, we can actually fish 4 rods without any problems of getting hung up when you hook a big fish. And we can see these fish where we catch them. You'll actually see great big marks off the bottom. Right here, see, that's the core of the hole. And when it comes up, as you'll see, it'll come up real fast out of the scour hole that is made from the washout from the dam. See, here it's starting to rise. Look at all the bait down there. I'm sure there's some big flatsies sitting down in the base of that hole.
Set.
I like setting up on a new spot. The thing is with these fish, it seems like you set up on a new spot, you'll get bit pretty quickly. It doesn't take long for those fish to find those big live baits flopping in the current. Ah, there we go. Ooh, there you go.
This is a better fish.
Yeah. The little rain, we don't need this rain right now.
No, we don't. It's a cold rain.
Ooh, there's a beauty. There's one of those. That one there looks like a little, I like those ones that look like a frog. Beautiful fish there.
There's a sucker eye view.
I don't think suckers like seeing that mouth like that. Yellow
Beauty.
cat.
We'll get him back.
Steve, we need some more bait.
We always need more bait.
One thing that's sort of interesting fishing for flatheads, we're using suckers that some of them probably weigh up to 1.25 pounds or so. With a lot of different species of fish, you would have to let the fish have it a long time when they hit the bait. I know with northern pike and muskies, when they use live bait, you have to let them run. With these fish, they have such a big mouth, they come up and they're so aggressive, and they have primarily such a big mouth that they actually inhale the bait almost instantaneously, and you just drop back and set the hook almost instantly.
If there's a key to catching big flatheads, it's getting good bait. We're using big white suckers here, but we could be using creek chubs or 8 to 12 inch gizzard shad or any other kind of bait fish that's abundant or naturally occurring in the water that you happen to be fishing. The way we're hooking these baits, this happens to be a 7/0 mustad hook here, but we could use up to a 10/0 depending on the size of the bait fish. And we're just scraping away a few of the scales here over the tail muscle, running the hook point all the way through. And the real key here is to make sure that there isn't any scales covering the hook point that's going to impede your hook set. And we just want that hook point exposed, and we want it riding as naturally as possible in the bait here, so that when a fish grabs the bait and they're going to engulf this entire bait fish, we just rear back and set the hook, and it drives home into the catfish flesh. You know, the kind of tackle that we're using for flatheads is really saltwater tackle. What we've got are 6 to 7 foot saltwater style boat rods, coupled with a heavy duty bait casting reel that holds about 200 to 300 yards of 20-pound test. For the conditions that we've encountered here, we opted to use a tough abrasion resistant 40-pound test. This happens to be Berkeley big game line. But if we were fishing in heavy cover where we had to drag the fish out very quickly, we may step up to 50, 60, or even 80-pound test line. One of the key features of a reel like this is our bait clicker. And what this allows us to do is engage the clicker mechanism, put the reel in free spool, and then set our rods and holders. And when a fish grabs the bait on a slip sinker rig, he's able to take a little bit of line under controlled tension. And we can give the reel half a turn, and the reel's drive is engaged. We set the hook, and the fight is on.
Oh yeah. Ooh. You gotta clear those other rods. Feels like a good one. Oh. That's one thing with this type of tackle, you can really lean on it. Oh yeah. Where is he here? Come here, buddy. That's a beautiful fish. Look at the size of it. You can see the size of the mouth. How does he eat that big bait? Look at the size of that fish. Ooh.
Your bait was but a mere snack. Can you get him? You want me to take the rod?
Creatures, you're not taking the rod, I don't suspect. It was, no. Whoa, come here, buddy. Look at the size of the mouth on that guy. What's interesting is that these fish are probably the largest fish of all freshwater game fish that are really pretty accessible to a lot of anglers around the country. And as we were talking about earlier, not very many people fish for them. But you have to, they sort of remind me, you gotta be sort of like a buck hunter or a deer hunter. Trophies to go fish for these things. You gotta fish them at night. There's some pretty specialized there. We got them. Oh, this is a big fish. Look at the size of this guy. Look at that. I tell you one thing, you don't need to catch too many of these to get the attention for a lot of anglers to go out and fish at night. Look at that. Is that a gorgeous fish? Look at that. Steve, we got to shoot some shots of this guy for the Catfish Insider. Look at that. Yeah, let's get some stills of her. Is that a fish or is that a fish? The flathead catfish.